Chris Lee, Blake Lovell, and Blaine Gilmer of Southeastern 14, presented by Stakes here, where we're ready with all new graphics and lots of noise. And we are going to talk about Missouri and Georgia. Georgia travels to Columbia this weekend in a game that can be seen 7:30 Eastern on the SEC network, depending on what and where you're seeing your lines and your spreads. Missouri Open is a 28-point underdog. Looks like that's down to 26 according to the graphic that Blaine has made for us. Over-under was, goodness, it was 56 on what I saw opening. Went to 59.5 and 53 on this one.
Yeah,
so we got stuff all over the place.
This was off DraftKings Sportsbook as of Sunday night. They had it as a 53 and 26. I think they're just expecting Missouri not to score at all. So
well, that's a possibility.
If
you watched last week, Blake, Blake, you took a lot of offense at that Missouri Auburn game. Your mood is the same pretty much every day. You're in, day in and day out. I could wake you at 3 a.m. and you would be cool. You took offense at the way Missouri and Auburn played football in Auburn on Saturday.
Well, that's partly true. I took offense to the way the game was managed on both sides at times. And I think that was the biggest thing. And anytime you have an SEC game where both fan bases coming out of it just pissed off at the world, that tells you something. Because one team won and one team lost, and yet the winning team was upset. The losing team was even more upset. So, yeah, I mean, what else do you say? I mean, if you watch the game, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I think that's why for Missouri, winning that game, if you just find a way to win that game, it would have still been ugly. You would have still had a lot of head-scratching talking points coming out of it, but you would not be sitting here now staring down the possibility of, all right, guys, let's get back on track against Georgia. So.
Okay, Blaine, you are a resident expert on Georgia, and in one of the relative shockers of the SEC season so far, Georgia, a 42-point favorite, coming off a performance against Stanford. They won 33-0 in what we thought would be a name-your-score game. Was quite underwhelming against Kent State. I did not think was very physical. Now this looks to me like a rat poison game for Kirby Smart, playing off his mentor, Nick Saban. I would expect that he would use this to his advantage heading into Missouri. But what are your thoughts on everything you saw in Athens last week and how that sets up for this week?
Yeah, it is a Kent State team that was not daunted by the environment because already this year Kent State had played at Washington and they had played at Oklahoma. They'd played at both those schools, and in both of those contests, Kent State came away with over 150 yards rushing. They did not against Georgia. They had 93 yards rushing on the day. Georgia just turned the ball over uncharacteristically, and one of their most reliable players and best playmakers, Ladd McConkey, had his worst day ever as a Bulldog, muffed a punt, fumbled, and then dropped 2 would-be touchdown passes on the day. Not a great day for one of the players that Kirby Smart says, listen, if we're going to get to where we want to go, Ladd McConkey's got to be that guy. And he has full confidence that Ladd will be that kind of player, but just uncharacteristic stuff. But if you took the score off of this and you chopped the bottom part off that looked at the turnovers, it's a dominating box score as always. Georgia well over 500 yards of offense. They held Kent State down on offense. They gave up one big busted play over there on a screen pass, but it was just uncharacteristic turnovers, Blake, that usually Georgia's not -3 or whatever they were in the turnover column.
Yep, like you said, it was all about kind of, against anybody, we always talk about it, just giving the ball away is going to put more pressure on you, and I think that's what you saw last week. I did not read much into that game at all in terms of the final score line. And I think, again, as we now go into this game and we look at what Georgia will be able to do, I think offensively, and I know one of the biggest things coming out of that Missouri-Auburn game was, Missouri defense played pretty well. That's true, but I think, again, the challenges they're going to face against this Georgia offense and all-world Superman Brock Bowers and everything they can do. That's just different than what you saw
Yes.
against Auburn. So
Guarantee Kent State's offense is better than Auburn's offense right now.
well,
Promise you that.
Ooh. Well,
For
that,
sure.
that could come into play in a later video. But before we talk about Auburn in another video, let's talk about Missouri's offense, which was
should we?
well, I mean, I think I've said this before. When you watched it, you needed one of those little things you use to watch the eclipse, where you get the cardboard disc and you poke the hole in it. Now the numbers on paper are not as bad as you would think. Missouri is scoring 28 a game, Georgia giving up 8 a game, 7.2 yards per pass for the Tigers, Georgia giving up 5.8 per throw, Missouri averaging 4.5 per rush, Georgia giving up 3.2. I think, Blaine, you throw those numbers out for Missouri, because when we have watched that offense against good teams, it is not that impressive. And oh, by the way, why are you not getting the ball to Luther Burden, Missouri?
I don't think Luther Burden recorded a reception on the other day, or didn't run the ball either. So I don't know what's going on in terms of that. He's a guy that literally they brought in to kind of be the face of the program, and he's not touching the rock enough there. So listen, you mentioned, I think Georgia's giving up about 5 yards per pass attempt for the other team, and that's including the screen pass that went for 50-something to Kent State. So
yeah,
I think that Brady Cook and the Missouri passing game will struggle. I think that you're going to see Georgia did not play Jalen Carter much in this past game. They held Michael Williams out because of a little thumb injury he had for most of the game. Georgia's, I think, going to get a little bit healthier in time for this Missouri game, which is not what Missouri wants to hear defensively. So, I just think it's going to all come down to, can Missouri run the football consistently? I don't think they will be able to. And then I think Georgia will find ways to pressure Brady Cook and maybe turn the ball over.
Okay, before we talk about Georgia's offense and Missouri's defense, we got big games coming up this week in the SEC. To add some more excitement to what we do here, we are making some predictions in the Stakes app. That is STAKES. We want to hear if you guys agree or disagree with our takes. So go to playwithstakes.com/14. Sign up for Stakes. Place your predictions if you're with us or against us. If you use the invite code Southeastern14 when you sign up, you'll get a double welcome bonus. It is free to sign up. It is free to play. You can win NFTs. You can share your bragging rights, especially if you beat us. What is not to like? Get in Stakes today. Play with us, and you'll thank us later. Okay, Georgia's offense averaging 42.3 a game. Missouri's defense giving up 24.5. When Georgia throws the ball, Stetson Bennett has been phenomenal. 9.6 per attempt. Missouri averaging 6.5 yards per throw. Defensively, Georgia averaging 5.4 a carry. Missouri giving up only 3.2 a carry. I think Missouri's defense is better than it was a year ago, which that's not a high bar to clear. But Blaine, when Stetson Bennett's got it rolling, that offense has been a thing of beauty this year.
Yeah, it's been really good. He did throw a pick against Kent State. Like I said, a deep post route, guy undercut it. That happens at times, but they get the ball out on the perimeter a lot, Blake. And, when you got guys out in space, it's just hard to tackle them, and especially Brock Bowers. I think he's pretty good at football. He's
not bad. And I think, it's Missouri's defense in terms of who they faced thus far. And you think about kind of their schedule to this point. Louisiana Tech, Kansas State, which looks better now since what Kansas State did against Oklahoma, Abilene Christian, and then we talked about Auburn. So I think it's, again, Missouri's defense has not seen this yet. So,
Chris, they've got Stetson Bennett, who's being talked about in Heisman candidate circles. Brock Bowers is now because he's rushed the ball 7 times in his career. In his career at Georgia, he's rushed the ball 7 times. 4 of those times have went for touchdowns. That's an insane stat that he has over there in terms of rushing the ball as a tight end, mind you. So, but with Stetson Bennett, something he accomplished this past week. He now has 4 straight games of 250 passing yards and a rushing touchdown. You know the last college football quarterback to do that, Chris?
Tim Tebow.
Patrick Mahomes. So now you got Stetson Bennett keeping company of Patrick Mahomes in that stat. I think that Georgia will come out clicking in this game. Who knows if Kenny McIntosh has a quad contusion, so they may be. I don't know if they'll play him against Missouri in this game or not, depending on how he is. But Dejan Edwards, Kendall Milton, Branson Robinson, they've got some backs that'll be ready to roll. But I think Georgia gets back on track offensively. Now that here's the thing, here's the difference. They had a bad game, had some turnovers, and still scored 39 points. That wouldn't have happened a couple of years ago in Kirby Smart's offense. So it shows how it's involved a little bit.
I like Stetson Bennett. I didn't think we'd ever hear his name dropped in the same sentence with Pat Mahomes, though.
Hey, there you go.
But that's the kind of year he's having. Okay, Vegas final. If you take the over-under, you take the spread, you do the math. Vegas has got Georgia winning this 44-16. Blaine, let's start with you. Give me a pick on this game and a why.
Yeah, I just think that, like you said, Kirby Smart, there wasn't a person inwardly more happy about this last week than Kirby Smart, because they won the football game and he gets a chance to prove to his team that they're not infallible and just get after them during practice. I think night game atmosphere, they're gonna have fun up there in Columbia. I like Georgia to win this one big. I think they're going to try to make a statement, like you said, much like Alabama did against Vanderbilt. I like them to win this one 51-10.
I'm going 42-3 Georgia. I think the defense will be way too much. And Blaine said exactly what we said, Chris, when we did our live stream after the Kent State game. This is exactly what Kirby Smart wanted. He has their attention. I just think they're significantly better in Missouri. So, yeah, I'll go 42-3 Georgia.
Yeah, I think we're all on the same page with this one. 44-10 Bulldogs. Boy, gonna be a long season for Missouri if this is that kind of weekend for the Tigers. Anyway, we are previewing every single SEC game in football this year. I previewed all of them so far. We'll preview all the rest of them to come. The best way to get them all is hit that subscribe button, which a lot of you have done lately. Thanks for watching. Thanks for Steaks for sponsoring us. We'll see you again soon here at Southeastern 14.